The guest of honour at this year's book fair, Indonesia, has a rich literary scene that is little known outside the country. We hear the words of some of its exceptional writers.
Indonesia's capital, Jakarta, is huge and bustling. But just 20 kilometers away, it's peaceful and quiet. It's where Sapardi Djoko Damono lives, the country's most renowned poet.
Hujan turun sepanjang jalan, hujan rinai waktu musim berdesik-desik pelan. Kembali bernama sunyi, kita pandang pohon-pohon di luar basah kembali. Tak ada yang menolaknya. Kita pun mengerti tiba-tiba atas pesan yang rahasia. Tatkala angin basah, tak ada bermuat debu. Tatkala tak ada yang merasa diburu-buru.
Sapardi wrote this poem in 1967. It marked a revolution in Indonesian poetry. 2 years after General Suharto seized power in a bloody coup, Sapardi dared to write about something as banal as the rain. Sapardi is a living legend, as a poet and professor of literature, adored by his students.
My poem is understood by those who can understand literature, but not by politicians and that kind. They don't understand it. What's behind my poem? They don't even understand that there is literature in Indonesia. That's the problem.
Sapardi writes in the national language, Bahasa Indonesia, which was only introduced in 1945 after the end of Dutch colonial rule.
It's a unifying language. You know, it's unifying. Unifying means that we can communicate with each other, we can quarrel, and I think it's the most important means to quarrel to each other in Indonesia, the Indonesian language.
800 languages and dialects are spoken in the country. Bahasa Indonesia is for most a second language, as it is for Sapardi, whose first language is Javanese. He also considers himself a Javanese. Efforts by politicians to give the country with its many ethnic groups a common identity have failed. Back to Jakarta. 30 million people live in and around the capital. Every Thursday, writer and journalist Linda Cristanti joins a demonstration of political activists and critics of the former Suharto regime. In the late 1990s, she helped organize the student protests that led to the ousting of Suharto and the end of 3 decades of military dictatorship. Many friends and comrades disappeared during that cruel period.
Suatu hari, kita menyadari telah lelap di sebuah penjara besar yang menghukum pikiran. Tikus-tikus dengan rakus akan menggerogoti sel-sel otak siapapun yang berpikir tentang kebebasan. Penjara ini berlapis-lapis, bentuknya menyerupai labirin. Kami yang tersisa belum sepenuhnya bebas, tapi cerita tentang kalian yang pergi dan tidak kembali akan menjadi cerita yang terus diwariskan, agar api ini terus menyala.
What happened to those who vanished? Why haven't the perpetrators been brought to justice? In the 90s, Linda Cristanti wrote anti-regime articles.
We knew about the risks. Maybe the government will arrest us, maybe they will kill us, maybe they will send the military intelligence, kidnap us. And all of us, we know about it. We knew about it at that time. But we took the risk, because if nobody dares to do that, the country or the people were still the same. No futures for the young generation.
It's thanks to Linda Cristanti's generation, who risked their lives to fight tyranny, that Indonesia is now a democracy. Nonetheless, a conspiracy of silence prevails to this day. Nobody dares to bring the perpetrators during the dictatorship to justice. Cristanti now writes for the fashion and lifestyle magazine Dewi, but she's not turned away from politics.
I need a lot of freedom because I'm a political person in my writings. If the Indonesian army or whatever army special force kidnap me, if they kill me, I will not be sad because I don't have children, I don't have husband, I don't have anything.
In her prize-winning literary texts, which bear some affinity to magical realism, as in her essays and reports, she writes about social and political conflicts, resistance, and forgiveness.
If you want to change something in the society, you have to be brave to do that. Maybe you are not alone. Maybe in the world, there are some people like you. Maybe they live in the worst situations more than me. And because of that, I never feel alone.
Linda Cristanti has never been intimidated and continues to address the issues she considers important. In the northwest of the country, on the island of Sumatra, is the province Aceh. There are almost no traces of the devastating tsunami that killed 170,000 people here on December 26, 2004.
I was born in Banda Aceh. I spent my childhood here. Before tsunami, I lived with my family. I have one little sister and one little brother. With the tsunami, all of them disappeared.
For Azari Ayub, the disaster changed everything. He was not in his village when the tsunami hit. He had just published his first volume of stories. For years afterwards, he couldn't write anything anymore, apart from this poem.
Ibuku, Abah dan Diknong. Setelah bala aku pulang, ingin melihat kalian dan kampung. Kukira 26 Desember cuma mimpi buruk, tapi tak kutemukan kalian di sana. Juga Arif kecil yang cerewet. Seperti kalian, kampung kita ternyata sudah tiada, berubah menjadi laut yang raya.
His entire village was washed away. After the tsunami hit, it was days before he heard that his family had been killed. He doesn't have a single photo of his family. The village where Ayub was born has been rebuilt. It has new houses and new residents. Still, the place is full of memories and the stories he was told as a small child.
My mother is like a story, like a storyteller. Sometimes in night or in the afternoon, she telling everything what she know. Sometimes about the fairy tale, sometimes about the gossip. And when I'm writing something, I stolen the story by my mother.
Aceh is a very poor region. It was crippled for decades by a war between separatists and the army. In his short stories, Azari writes about the violence and its consequences. A peace deal was made after the tsunami, and Islamic Sharia law was introduced in the province.
When the Sharia law applied, everything is changed. The authority evaluate you every day. You must go to mosque. You must have the standard about what you are wearing. If you go to somewhere with your friend or girl, you'll be arrested.
Only in his writing does Azari feel free to voice his opinions. He's currently writing a historical novel about 3.5 centuries of colonial rule, another chapter of Indonesian history that is rarely addressed. Three 3,000 kilometers southeast of Aceh is the island of Bali. It's another world, often called the island of the gods. Most of the inhabitants are Hindus. Many Western thinkers saw Bali as a utopia, a place where man and nature are in perfect harmony. For Indonesians, too, it exerts a certain fascination.
Dari akar, kau ajari aku mengenal warna tanah. Membiarkan perwujudanku menyentuh kedalamannya. Wahai anak dewa yang memunculkan pementasan-pementasan tanah, aku menjelma jadi api, memutar bumi di telapak tangan.
Oka Rusmini was born into a Hindu Brahmin family. Hindu religious ceremonies may be a captivating spectacle, but they embody a rigid hierarchical caste system. Her novel, Earth Dance, is about women's struggle for self-determination in that system.
The novel is about psychological problems in Bali, especially among women. Psychological problems that emerge when Balinese women are confronted with culture, religion, and customs that are harmful to them, especially to women who belong to higher castes.
In Earth Dance, a young dancer falls in love with a man from a lower caste. That used to be reason enough for Brahmin families to disown a daughter. Oka had problems with her own family when she married a Muslim. Nowadays, the constraints have eased somewhat. Women have become bolder and dare to live as they want to. The huge tourism industry may have helped propel Bali into the 21st century. Nevertheless, it was a struggle for Oka to become a writer and journalist.
I've never regretted being a writer. It's therapeutic for me and for my readers.
It takes courage and determination to be a writer in Indonesia, to speak out when others remain silent, to address the painful past and the troubled present of this deeply divided country.